Good morning. You're watching World Without Rule of Law. Welcome to the Southern Virginia Homestead. Today, I want to talk briefly about community. Been talking about that a lot lately. I think as time goes on, things progress, that becomes more and more important. I talk about it a lot because it's something that I struggle with, something that I've been actively trying to work on, and maybe because I'm working my way through the dynamics of it, because it's not something that comes easy to me. But I want to read something from the Bible. This isn't a Bible message per se, but as in most of life's truths, there is a biblical application for it. Most things we encounter in our lives, there is an instruction or a guide in the Bible that deals with that. And this isn't any different. So in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15, it says, "See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." So, circumspectly, right? So they're talking about using discernment, right? And that can be, that's a pretty broad thing. But if you look at applying that now to trying to build a group, that's key. That's very important, right? There's a lot of different things as each of us works on our plan to form a group or form a community or become part of a group or part of a community, that applies greatly. Walking circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Like, you don't just publish all your information out there and say, "Here I am, bring me in to your group," right? There has to be a discernment. And a lot of that is ambiguous. It's things that you can see and form in your mind. That's being, circumspect, right? Evaluating people, evaluating situations. What's your gut tell you, right? Like, a lot of times you can get a gut feeling about something, and if you trust that, many times it rings out to be true. So there's a lot of different people, there's a lot of different groups actively recruiting members. There's a lot of new startup groups, people trying to meet up. I touched on it in a video not too long ago. I went to one a couple hours away from here, met up with a few guys, seemed fine, everything went fine. Then you step back and you look at everything that's going on, in other venues, in other situations, and every little piece of information you get, maybe not significant in itself, is a piece of a larger puzzle. And so as these pieces come in, the picture of the puzzle begins to get clear, and that'll either draw you in a certain direction, or it may make you move away from a certain direction or a certain target, right? Target's probably not the right word. A certain goal. So in other words, like, you may think you're going in one direction, you're working toward one specific thing, and then after a few more pieces of the puzzle come in, you realize, well, maybe I should do this instead, or go here. I know that's very ambiguous, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's within ourselves. It's how we decide where to go, who to trust, what to be part of, what not to be part of, and it's not clear all the time, and it's not easy. It's just something that each of us has to figure out for ourselves. So this weekend I made some headway, and again, I didn't really make the headway, but I was given an opportunity, and that may not even be the right way to put it. I was included in someone else's plan. Let's put it that way. And so, as I struggle with this concept of building community, becoming part of community, I've had, little tiny movements toward a goal or toward a success. And then a lot of times I felt like it's never going to happen, it's happening too slowly, it's moving too slowly. And then one day when you're not even expecting it or thinking about it, you get contact from somebody else and they fill in a big piece of the puzzle for you, or one, we all have to have multiple plans, but a big piece of one plan. And so it's vague in general, and it's designed to be that way because I'm not going to give specifics about it, nor for the point of this video do I really have to. But there are people that we meet online, on YouTube, and we try to get to know them, and I think more importantly, or should be more importantly, we try to let them get to know us. And then sometimes there's a fit, sometimes there's not a fit. But as we are, each individual is actively working their own plan, other people are working their own plan as well. And then sometimes that comes together organically, and sometimes we have to try to make it come together. But there are people out there that are good people, that are honest, hardworking, forthright people. And then there are people, I watched a video yesterday on Finger Lakes Prepper's channel, the sheepdog, the wolf in the sheep's clothing, the struggle there. That was a pretty good video. Probably most of the people that watch my channel watch Finger Lakes Prepper anyway, so he's quite a bit larger channel than I am. So if there is anybody watching that hasn't seen it, I'd recommend watching it because there's some good information there, as is with most of the videos that he makes. So I enjoy his channel and the perspectives that people bring. And so there's a lot of wolves out there, right? The Bible talks about that too. Our adversary, the devil, roams about, seeking whom he might devour, right? So the Bible makes reference to the devil as the dragon, but if you can make the analogy of the wolf, I think it's, it fits, right? The wolf, and a lot of times the wolf is dressed as a sheep. So there's that whole thing, we try to build these relationships. Maybe you're going to meet the wolf. Maybe you're going to meet the sheep. That's where walking circumspectly comes in, right? Don't leap into a situation. Don't charge head forth into a situation, because you can get to a point where you've crossed over a line that you can't come back from, if that makes any sense, right? But by walking circumspectly and by, taking baby steps, take a step, sit back, look around, absorb what's in front of you, then decide which way you're going to go for your next step. There's prudence there. There's less chance that you're going to get into a situation that you can't back out of, because if you are jumping in by leaps, it's just that chance of getting ensnared or trapped is greater. I hope this makes sense. It makes sense in my mind, but I don't feel like I'm articulating it very well. But we talk about community a lot because it's very important. If you meet somebody online, or you have a relationship with somebody online, and then a connection or an advancement is made in the real world, such as what happened to me this weekend. you know, there was an individual or group of individuals that had made a decision to include me in part of a plan, part of a, you know, it's hard to say it without really giving it all away, but like increased my options as far as my evacuation plans. That's probably the best way to say it. And so I'm appreciative of that. And it was a success in community building, and it was a success in community building not born from anything that I have done or any efforts that I have made. And so we have to recognize that, right? But if people are going to go out of their way, because whenever you decide in whatever fashion to trust somebody else and include them in your group or in part of your plan or whatever, you're taking a risk. Because maybe that person, you just know them online. Example, what happened to me? They know me online, they feel they know me, and of course, hey, listen, I'm a great guy, I know that. But do they really know me? Like, you know, they know the person that I present on the camera, and I'm pretty transparent, right? I mean, I try to present myself as I am. And I do present myself as I am. So they don't have to feel any apprehension in trusting me to a different level. And they've taken safeguards. They didn't fully pull me in, you know, and that's okay. They're saying like, we're gonna go to this level with you, but yet still at a distance, they're still, and that's them walking circumspectly. And that's prudent, and we all have to do that. But because at the end of the day, they really don't know me, right? We've never shaken hands, we've never met. And so they have to do that, and so do I, and so does everybody, or so should we, right? So if somebody like that, or like anybody that you meet online, gets to a point where, you know, they make, maybe commitment's a strong word, but it is a commitment. If they make a commitment that, hey, something happens, you know, in this situation, give any possible situation, we're going to make efforts to reel you in. And that could be, you know, somewhere, you know, you make it to a point somewhere close to us where we can get you and bring you into a location that is undisclosed and for security reasons, and undisclosed because that person's being circumspect in the way they're walking. That's one thing. They may also be saying, or may also say at that point, if something happens and we need to travel 350 miles to get you, we'll do that too, right? So if someone's willing to travel 350 miles and scoop you up because your vehicle's broke down or whatever the situation is, I just use 350 miles off the top of my head, I mean, it could be any distance that they're willing to travel, then you have to be willing to do the same to them, for them, right? It's a two-way street. Community isn't one person helping another person. You know, it's two people helping each other. There has to be a mutual commitment there. So if this person's stepping over there, you know, over a line where they have to initiate another level of trust, and they have to say, you know, okay, our relationship was here, we are now going to bring it to here, you have to be willing to go there with them, right? And just the example of, you know, coming to scoop you up, if they say, listen, we'll come 350 miles to scoop you up, well then, you know what, I have to be willing to go 350 miles to scoop them up too. And I have to reciprocate in kind with the commitment they've made to me. They're saying to me, if this, or this happens, you make it to this point, we'll find you and get you. I have to be willing to do the same. You know, and I am. And so, I guess that's really all I have to say about it for now. I know it's a little ambiguous, but I think the message is clear. It's there. And those people may or may not be watching, and I thank them for including me. I thank them for considering me, and for reaching out with an offer to help, because hopefully that day will never come, right? I hope it won't. I hope we'll all live prosperous, successful lives and never need to do anything along those lines of those plans. But then at the same time, there's a little more security in my heart. There's a little more peace in my everyday life, knowing that there's one other possible potential option somewhere down the road for something that'll happen. And really, isn't that a huge part of what community is? Trusting and knowing. I mean, there's all the mechanical stuff. There's all the, this guy's gonna get water, this guy's gonna build a fire, these people are gonna cook the food, and everybody's got an assigned task. But that's for the day that may never come, or the day we hope's never gonna come. Today, the community today is the security and the knowledge and the peace that you have inside yourself, that you have people that you can rely on. And again, you have to let them know that they can rely on you too. Otherwise it doesn't work. It's gotta be two-way, it's a two-way street. So consider that and walk circumspectly. Not as fools, but as wise, right? As the wise. Because it's easy to get in trouble. It's easy to trust the wrong people. It's easy to be taken in by an image that someone puts up for the world to see that isn't a true image. And I think in our day-to-day lives and people we meet in the community, that happens, right? You go into Walmart and you're checking out the cashier stand, and person's smiling and happy, and you think to yourself, this is somebody that I could be friends with if you have a conversation with them, get to that point, which I try to talk to people. But then you don't know who they are. That's probably not the best analogy because that's a flash in the pan, but let's say someone that you could meet at church, or the lady you talk to every Tuesday when you go to the chiropractor, or whatever. Like, these are people that you're building relationships with, and as you walk circumspectly, you decide the depth of that relationship. And they decide too, because if you want to go to the next level and they don't, then you're not going to anyway. So we all mesh together. But again, you're seeing the image that that person wants you to see. If you go to the chiropractor 3 times a week and you talk to the same lady behind the counter, and you have little conversations here and there, and after 2 months of that you get to know that person, are you really getting to know them? Or are you getting to know the person that they're presenting to you? Like Joseph Kennedy said, right? The patriarch of the Kennedy clan. I read a book about it years ago. It's not who you are, it's who you make the world think you are. That could lead to your successes or failures, if that's what he was talking about at the time. I think there's a lot of truth to that. But then, when you carry that over into a post-collapse survival situation, and building a community through, say, YouTube or Patreon or wherever in advance, that can become dangerous. Because in a social situation today in the world, if somebody presents themselves as somebody they're not, and you strike up a friendship with them, it may not be that detrimental, and it could be, because there's psychos out there too. But post-collapse, that all becomes much more important. It all becomes more dangerous, I guess. So walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Words to heed. It's always easy to identify something, a concept like that. Figuring out how to make it all happen in reality and in the real world that's the tricky part, right? Thank you all for watching. God bless you.